I just got back from watching the new Lion King movie, the new live action version compared to anime. Well, it's not really live action because everything's CGI. I mean, pretty much animated, but it looks like it's live action, so we're just going to call it the live action version. I really like this version of the film. It's not as good as the original, but it's still pretty good. I mean, you're going to find much enjoyment with this new Lion King. You know the story of Lion King. Basically, Scar kills Mufasa and blames Simba, and then Simba runs off, finds Timon and Pumbaa, and then he tries to forget everything he was ever taught and tries not to worry about what's happening in the world, but then he has to realize he has to take his place in the circle of life and actually become the king he was destined to be. And that's really what the Lion King's all about. The Lion King is the coming of age story, and it's a classic story. I mean, I love Lion King to death. I mean, I'm a big Lion King fan. I have the original movie on my phone, so I can watch it almost any time. And it's up there with Star Wars for me. It's one of the greatest movies ever made, and I really love the anime version. So I was hesitant to go into this new version of The Lion King, and I tried not to compare it to the original as much as possible, going in there with a fresh mind and stuff. And I found a lot of enjoyment. While I still think the original is better because it flows better with some of the dialogue, I still kind of like this version because it's more grittier and more realistic. Now, one of the things that they did well in some areas, but not in some areas, was a lot of the musical numbers from the original. They do the same things here, and the worst one was the Be Prepared. Everyone's been talking trash about the Be Prepared one, and it kind of deserves it because they kind of ruined the song. I mean, it's not a very good renditioning of Be Prepared, and I just simply didn't like this new voice, the way they tried to set up this new version of the song. They should have just left it out, in my opinion. There's no way you can beat the original Be Prepared song. Another thing that kind of a little awkward is kind of Scar, and like I can't really say his name right, sorry. LG04, he plays Scar in this movie, and I did like his version of Scar. However, they try to use the same dialogue from the original, and it just doesn't work with LG04. They should have just gone completely wrote new lines for LG04, because he tries to use a lot of the Jeremy Irons lines, and it just doesn't work. But when he's on his own, trying to do his own thing with Scar, it's much better. And unlike the original version, in this new one, Scar kind of likes Mufasa's wife, and that's one of his motivations for why he kills Scar, is because he likes Mufasa's wife. Excuse me. So that's a more interesting road to take, and I wish they would focus on that a little bit more. They definitely focus on Scar a little bit more in this live action version than in the original, because Scar was only really in the beginning and at the very end. They kind of throw some scenes in the middle to make him more, in the movie a little bit more, and it kind of works. Another thing that they did pretty well is Nadia, sorry I can't say her name right, but Simba's kind of girlfriend, wife, whatever you want to call her in the original, because they focused on her a little bit more too in this new version, and I like that stuff. I mean, that was some pretty good stuff that they really focused on. The song "We Feel the Love Tonight" was done a little bit better in the live action version than in the anime. That doesn't mean the animated wasn't bad, but this one felt a lot more realistic, and you actually felt the connection between Simba and his girlfriend. Another thing that I thought they did really well in this one is Timon and Pumbaa. With the live action version, Timon and Pumbaa was just amazing. Like if Timon and Pumbaa were actual characters, not an animated film, this would definitely be who they were in this version, and I loved it. I mean, Seth Green plays Pumbaa, and he's just fantastic at it. You know, that was probably the best part of the entire film was Timon and Pumbaa. Because I do like them in the original one, but you know, they kind of felt animated. You get what I'm saying? I mean, you know, they kind of felt cheesy and animated. In this one, they're a lot more realistic. There's a lot of things that they did. So one of the things that I wish they would either have changed or left out of the film completely is the whole I Just Want to Be a Kid song. I mean, I Just Want to Be a King song. You know, I love that in the animated version, but in the live action version, it just doesn't go. It just doesn't fit very well with what they were trying to do with the whole gritty, more darker version. The circle of life in the very beginning is pretty much the same. I mean, there's any difference there. It's still as powerful as it was in the anime, so there's that. Overall, I mean, some people have a problem with this part of the film, but the lines don't really show expressions like they do in the original cartoon version, which it really didn't take me out of the film. I know some people saying it takes them out of the film, but it really doesn't do that to me. It feels a little more realistic than anything else, and I kind of like that. I kind of like it. You know, I like when films, when they have a remake or a reboot and they do things a little bit different, like the movie Red Dawn. You know, the newer one I liked a lot because they did things different. Not as good as the original, but still, it was a different type of film, and I kind of enjoyed that. With this film, they do some things different, and they do a lot of things same. Overall, I kind of enjoyed the film. I kind of get the sentiment that I would just watch the anime over the live action simply because, you know, that is a better version of this film, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that this film, the live action version, is still pretty damn good. I mean, you're going to find enjoyment with it, and I think your kids will find enjoyment because there are a lot of pretty funny moments. I mean, the board in this version is a lot funnier than he was in the original. So I mean, you know, he makes a lot more jokes. So there was that. There's a lot of things like the relationship between Simba and Mufasa is pretty much the same, but they did things a little better in the original one, like the pouncing lesson, because they kind of rushed that whole thing in the live action version. Overall, like I said, I did enjoy this film, and even though it's not as good as the original, I still kind of enjoyed it. If I was to rate this film, I would probably rate it probably a 7 out of 10. I mean, it's not as good as the original. For me, the original is like a 9, and this version is, you know, still a really good version and a little bit different, but it's really, you know, some things don't flow as well in this version like they do in the animated. And to be honest, Jeremy Irons is Scar. I mean, that's just who Scar was in the original one. In this one, with Ejiofor, they should have, like I said, they should have just gone and rewritten his lines and probably rewritten the character a little bit, because they try to make this Scar a little darker, which I kind of liked, but they still try to use the sarcastic tone that Jeremy Irons did, and it just didn't work very well. You know, Ejiofor Scar could have been great. He could have been way darker, and you know, they just, I felt like they just blew it. They just completely blew what Scar could have been. So there's that. Like I said, 7 out of 10. That's it. Go watch the movie. I guys hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you.